Welcome back to Real America. My next guest is a former CIA analyst and deputy assistant to the president. He also just penned a very scathing op-ed about Hillary Clinton and the whole Russian hoax scandal. Please welcome to the show, Fred Fleitz. Mr. Fleitz.
Good to be here.
Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Okay, so I got the information from our D.C. Bureau yesterday on you, read some background, looked at the op-ed. Obviously, I hope the American people have been watching what's been going on in D.C. the last 2 weeks with James Comey testifying in front of that Senate subcommittee and these notes from the CIA coming out, Brennan, that he actually did brief the president on what was going down with the two campaigns back in 2016. If they're not, please fill them in on exactly what the heck went down, and once and for all, let's put it to bed that there was no Russian collusion with our president.
No, that's exactly right. And we have a smoking gun here, and the president knows it. In July of 2016, the CIA came upon information that the Clinton campaign, approved by Hillary Clinton, approved a plot to smear Donald Trump for colluding with the Russians to distract from her email server scandal. Now, Director of National Intelligence Radcliffe released this in a letter to the Judiciary Committee earlier this month. He said, look, it's possible this is Russian disinformation, but note, this was briefed to the president. There was a referral to the FBI, but it was withheld from the American people for 4 years until October of 2020. Why wasn't this information put out years ago? Well, the reason is there are numerous actors who didn't want it out because it would help Trump and it would hurt Clinton.
Wow. Yeah. And that is, in my opinion, looking at all the facts, exactly what went down. Now, let me back up, put my journalist hat back on, take off my commentator and host hat. So obviously we know Russian has meddled in our elections even far before the 2016. It's been proven. You worked for the CIA, you know that. You can confirm that, correct? That Russian has meddled with us before.
Russia has meddled in every election, Russia and the Soviet Union for decades.
Okay, so I want to simplify this for folks out there, put it in some real easy layman's terms. So what you're saying is that Russia could have put that out there, that Hillary was doing this to cover her own butt, and that could have been fake. But either way, the information that it was out there was presented to then President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden on not just one, but how I read that information from Radcliffe, twice. Wasn't there 2 times they told them, or am I incorrect?
No, they were told on at least 2 occasions. And look, maybe it was disinformation. If it was an awfully significant piece of disinformation, and this should have been known to the American people. Right. It could have been released with that caveat and let the American people decide. Instead, it was kept from the American people until Director of National Intelligence Radcliffe, who was very loyal to the president, finally got into the intelligence community, went through the files, and released this piece of information. And
I love that Mr. Brennan's now been going on MSNBC and CNN the last week, trying to downplay and say exactly what you and I were just discussing, is that it could have been Russian disinformation, so it's no big deal, we should just move on with it. But I would say to that, if you're the sitting president of the United States and you follow the rule of law, which Mr. Obama said he always did, then even if you're leaving office and your party is in a deep, hardcore fight against President Trump, wouldn't you still want to follow the law and do what you should and do what's right and look into this and investigate and see if, in fact, the Clinton campaign was, in fact, doing this as a smokescreen to cover up for her emails and her server wiping, or was it just a Russian propaganda? But that wasn't done by the Obama administration, was it?
No, in September of 2016, this referral from the CIA was made to the FBI, and the FBI ignored it, and instead it decided to spy on the Trump campaign using FISA warrants that were based on the fraudulent Steele dossier. And isn't it interesting that the Steele dossier and this report we're talking about both came out in July of 2016? So look, it may have been disinformation. It still should have been released, but it was important enough to brief to the President of the United States.
And I love the fact that when they had James Comey under oath in that subcommittee hearing, about a week ago, that Senator Ted Cruz really hammered him on not knowing about the source of the FISA report and then literally calling him out, going, is this incompetence or were you lying and covering up? And he didn't really answer that question directly. So to me, it casts a lot of doubt on the FBI's motive during that investigation. I want to hear your take, because you were at the other house, the CIA. How do you feel about that with the FBI? Was it gross negligence and incompetence on Comey, or was this a cover-up at the highest level?
Comey claims to have a photographic memory, and I've studied his statements in congressional hearings about these matters. He has a record of convenient lapses of memory whenever it comes to anything that would incriminate him or anything that would make Trump look good. He constantly has said he can't remember. Look, the Clintons have done this for decades. Hillary Clinton did this concerning scandals during Bill Clinton's presidency when she had to testify. It's what the left does, and it's just outrageous that Comey got away with this. How could he not remember this instance?
Yeah, again, I'm going to now I'll put my host hat back on and say I firmly believe this is a cover-up at the highest level. We know there was, 35,000 emails and a server wiped clean. We all remember the day in that press conference in that gymnasium, Hillary going, like what? Like I wiped off my server? And it was joking, like she wiped it clean with a rag and jokingly blew it off. So to see these notes that were handwritten by the head of the CIA, right, Brennan, and to claim that you told the president on at least 2 occasions, to claim that the FBI looked into it, and that the only result was that there possibly was, and then it turned into impeachment, where the Trump campaign colluded with Russia, when you have the other facts sitting right in front of your face. This, to me, as an American, as a voter, looks like pure collusion on the Clinton side of things, and a cover-up then from the Obama administration and the Comey FBI. Am I stepping out of bounds here?
No, that's exactly right. And so many journalists, they've known from the beginning that this is a fraud. And look at CIA Director Brennan with his notes. He's been pushing this case hard for years, but he's known from his old notes that the Clinton administration made this up, that Hillary Clinton approved this, but Brennan, who is just so hateful towards Republicans and towards Donald Trump, pushed this lie anyway. And I just wish somehow we could prosecute Brennan, because I think he perjured himself in a variety of congressional hearings on what he knew about.
Along with Comey. And finally, let's go off on that fourth state, the press, because let's really get down to who helped perpetuate this, push this lie along for the last 4 years, and now cover the asses of the men and women that did this to our president. CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, all the major networks and papers have been printing, have been publicizing, have been commentating on this for 4 years. And now that it's coming to light, finally, they are putting the men and women that were involved on their air and letting them cover their own butts. It's absurd and disgusting to me.
They've been complicit in this. They know who their sources are. They knew most of the sources were lying. They knew that this is a weak case. So much information has come out over the last year proving that the case is wrong. Barr has proved this. The House Intelligence Committee has proved this. But the left doesn't care. The media doesn't care. Their purpose in life is to defeat Donald Trump in November. Facts be damned.
Well, they have never, ever wanted him president since day one. And that is why, since before he even stepped into the Oval Office in January of 16, they have done nothing but fight this president, claim he's an illegitimate president, and try to impeach this president on more than one occasion, and claim that he had ties to Russia, which has never, ever been proven, just like the tax records showed no payments to, from, anything to do with Russia or anything illegal when it comes to his taxes. So this will probably continue for the next 4 years, because we're going to see a Trump-Pence win come November 3rd. I think we all can hope and pray for that and for the future of our country, because if not, wow. Looking at what happened just with this president and what you and I are discussing, Fred, I would be very, very nervous about the future of our country if it goes the other way. Fred Fleitz, thank you so much for coming on. If folks want to check out the article, anything else that you've written, talked about out there, your background, let them know how to get a hold of you, how to see this stuff.
Our website is securefreedom.org, securefreedom.org. This particular article ran on nationalreview.com.
All righty. Thank you so much, Fred. We appreciate the insight, your honesty, and helping to get to the bottom of this Russian hoax. You have a good weekend.
Be here. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, guys, coming up after the break right here on Real America, my next guest. Love this guy. Rapper, Forgiato Blow. He's got a really cool song out. You want to hop on the Trump train with him? We'll be speaking with him next. Don't go away.